Hello, and welcome to another live stream on Tim Talks Audio. First of all, thank you for joining me today. What's going on, Kays, and what's going on, Booth? How you guys doing? Thanks for joining. Today we're going to go back into the mix that we were working on the other day. It's a hardcore live set. The band is Laid to Rest, and this was from the 2019 This Is Hardcore show. I haven't really done much since the other live stream, so we're going to go back in. We're going to take a listen, see what needs to happen. We did a bunch the other live stream on the 31st. We got a good amount into it. Let's get some more in. Let's try and push through. We'll get to the guitars and the bass, have them sitting good. Maybe make some adjustments to the drums and the vocals and see where everything sits. And instead of talking a lot about it, we can get right into it today. So let's switch over, and here we are inside the session, and let's just find something to listen to, maybe back over here somewhere. So immediately starting this up, I can tell I want a little bit more growl from the bass, especially in this intro part. And I want a little more presence on whichever guitar is doing that junk, 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 junk. Yeah, this is nice and easy. This is SM58, Can't go wrong with this mic. It's a great live mic. It's a great mic for doing podcasts and videos and things like that, live streams. And it's a workhorse. It does a lot. So let's find who's doing that part right there, the jun 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 jun. So it's the stage right guitar is doing that change. And I want that to stand out more. So there's nothing going on our bass or guitars yet. I did a little automation thing, and that's for this blast beat on the snare, but everything else is pretty static so far. We haven't changed anything from the other day. So let's get into mixing some heavy bass and heavy guitars. Excuse me. So let's start off with the guitars. There's a lot of fuzz going on, and I don't know if you remember, but where is it? This guitar, the stage right guitar in particular, the microphone at the beginning of the set got kicked. But after a quick recovery, that's what we're going to be working with for the remainder of the set. But in a little bit, what we're going to do, or actually what we can do it now, is called EQ matching. So I only have the DI for the first song and a half of this set, but I have the amp for the rest of it. What I can do is I can pull open FabFilter, and I'm using FabFilter Pro Q3. So now that I have this on here, I'm actually just going to very quickly copy it over to the DI track, which is this one right here. And I'm going to unmute it because I know, there's just M on there. I'm going to unmute it because I know that I have the events themselves muted. That's Shift M to mute. And it doesn't matter if you're on Mac or PC to do that. So the first song, I only have the DI guitar. And if I solo it real quick, it doesn't sound like anything. What's going on here? Oh, because the fader's all the way down. Having the fader up helps. So it sounds okay, but it does sound like a bunch of pedals going into a DI, and it doesn't sound like an amp like over here. So what we can do with FabFilter is EQ match it, and we'll try and get that really close to see if we can get what's going on, Walt. We're going to EQ match to see if we can get the DI guitar to sound like the amped guitar. So let's see, guitar stage right. And we want to EQ match. So our reference is the guitar stage right. It should be working. Let's go over here. So it seems like it got a little messed up. We're going to redo it and reanalyze. So there's a bunch going on, and let's go back to this DI guitar and see if it sounds like our amped guitar. And if it doesn't, you know, that's what happens with EQ matching. What we're going to do is we'll just process the DI to sound like it's an amp. So right off the bat, there is this guy, and oh, I don't even see where he is. Let's expand this out. This one, I'm going to turn that off because I can hear that happening. And this one too. And you know what? I'm not a fan. I don't think that the EQ matching helped. So we're going to ignore it for now, and we'll do some processing on this DI for the first couple songs to make it sound like an amp. But for the rest of the set, we have the actual guitar itself. So we'll work on that one. I think that's already sounding a little better. It's got a little more presence. What's it set? 1.7K-ish. I might actually move this up. But this was like a ringing frequency that I didn't like. So I just kind of pulled some of it out. We can take a listen to this one on and off. It's actually just a little higher that I don't like it. Can you hear it screaming? I move forward just a little bit. don't know if you guys can hear that one. Oops, wrong shortcuts. In this guitar, this is the left guitar, there's another ringing frequency that's going on, and I'm going to get rid of it. That it really whistles. I was hearing a lot of that, so I just want to pull some of it out to clean up this guitar. What I'm doing here is there's going to be a lot of like low mid energy that goes on when he does those palm mutes. So I'm kind of just boosting it right now to listen for it. And I have kind of a wide cue. That's okay. I'll slim it down a little. Let's just listen here. Whoa, where'd you go? Come back over here. I don't know why you did that. So that was around here. And what I'm actually going to do is in Pro Q3, which is really cool, is I can make this dynamic very quickly. I have no additive or removing gain, but I can make it dynamic this way. Only when he's doing like those palm mutes, which are over here, will it reduce that down a little. Same kind of thing with this guitar. There was a lot of like low mid happening, and I just want to get rid of it when he's like chugging along. So what I'm going to do here with this is a very similar kind of thing. This is multiband dynamics. This is C4 from Waves. And I'm going to do the same kind of thing. I just want a little bit of compression when those palm mutes are going on. So I'm going to change the crossover frequencies just so I can get this low mid happening. And I know that I'm going to want like around 500, and I can just punch this in. I want 500, and then down here, I just want like 300. You know what? Let's go a little lower. Let's go 200, or this only goes up to 250. So we're going to bring it down to 200. Just this little area, and I'm going to solo it out, and I'm going to solo my bus. I just want to listen for the palm mutes and have them kind of squeeze in a little. This just tightens up those guitars a little bit of compression. I'm kind of gain matching, but I'm also going to give it a little little bump just to kind of help it out. Let's see that name. G Tizzle. I am going to do I'll do another session where I just use stock plugins. On the YouTube channel itself, I do have a stock plugin series that I'm doing where I'm going over every single one of the Studio One stock plugins. I've already done a couple of them so far, and by demand, multiband dynamics is going to be coming out next. But yes, in next week's live stream, and I'll actually probably put it out there, that I will just do a mix using stock plugins. I'll let you know when that happens. But you can do a lot of this in the stock plugins itself. It's the concepts that you can just take the concepts from the plugins that I'm using and put them into stock plugins. So something like multiband dynamics, this little trick where I did here, where I'm only using this low mid band, you could do that with multiband dynamics inside of excuse me, inside of the stock plugin. So that was that one, and then I'm just doing a little bus compression. We're going to address that bass and figure out what's going on. So let's mix it in. What I'm going to do is this copy of the bass DI right here. It's this guy. I'm going to scroll up a little. So these two are exact copies. And the second one, what we're going to do is we're going to make it sound like a bass amp. And we're going to start off with some EQ just to clean things up. I know I'm doing a lot of this in solo, but I'm looking for the good and the bad in this bass. Booth, I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook. I don't know if you're asking me or any of the other people in chat. Yeah, I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook. If there's a specific one that you're looking for, then I'll let you know if I'm in it or not. But yeah, I'm very frequent on a lot of groups on Facebook. I'm also very frequent on Reddit. So I'm all over the place. This bass player is kind of all over the place, but that's okay. Whoops. Okay, so now that we have that, I'm going to do a little saturation on here. And let's go with Decapitator. It's from Sound Toys. No, it's cool, Booth. Yeah, I'm in a bunch of groups on Facebook. I'm very frequent on the Studio One group, the Studio One mixing and mastering tutorials. Just a number of groups am I pretty frequent on. This is going to be harsh, and I'm going to put punish on. Okay, so that sounds like a little something. Now here's where it can get kind of cool. Is if you take something like this, and I'm not saying it's the greatest right now, but if you take something like this And we'll just bypass this. There's a little noise going on, but that's from the decapitator. That's okay. Oh, Bobby, what's going on, dude? So if you take something like this, and let's say this is the greatest sound you've ever come up with from a DI. If you then take this, do the processing and everything, you can put it through an impulse response to sound like it's coming out of a cab. You want the red light district on the bass? Sure, let's do red light district. Let's get rid of this real quick. That's bypassed. Red light district. G-Tizzle, these are live mic'd cabs. This is from a live set during the This Is Hardcore show in Philadelphia in 2019. I think it was August. I can't remember the exact dates. So these are live mic'd and everything. There is a DI for everything. There's also a mic on everything. So on the bass itself, and I'm just going to mute this one. That's the live bass. There's a lot going on. It sounds like he's hitting many strings, but that's okay. This is what I get. This is what I get to work with. Hey, Natalie. Thanks for coming in. All right, so let's check out Red Light District on this guy real quick. Let's pull open some presets. No, dirty drum machine, just dirty. Just straight up dirty. So what I'm going to do there, red light district's not bad. It's definitely like got a crunch to it. There's a lot of noise going on, so I'll probably throw a little bit of a noise gate on after this just to clean it up. G-Tizzle. This is the second time I'm in this set. I've touched on it briefly at the beginning of the video. It's a live set, so I think they did 20 minutes or so. Yeah, they did about 20 minutes, and we're just gonna go through, mix it, and eventually this is gonna get synced to the video that was shot by hate56.com, and then it'll get released on his website so that everybody can be able to watch this on demand. So what happens is they go and film the shows, Hate56. He goes and films all the sets. It's a weekend-long festival, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then my buddy Len from Landmine Studio goes and he actually live records everything. The house handles the live PA and the sound for the show, but Len will handle the recording of everything, and Sonny from Hate56 does a video recording, as well as some other guys that he has come in for these shows. And then I get a number of sets from these shows, and then I mix them, and then we sync them to video and send them out that way. And that's how it works. So let's keep going with Red Light District. After this, we'll put we'll put a noise gate, and we'll check before and after the Red Light District to see where it sounds good. So I'm filtering out the low end because I don't want that distorted. I just kind of want like the upper mids. Hard tube doesn't sound too bad. Let's try op amp real quick. No, soft tube. So a lot of that isn't bad. I'm kind of liking this. Let's go with Red Light District. We'll throw a gate in. That's not how you spell gate. That's how you spell gate. And let's go with the stock gate. And I'm gonna mute out the other guys real quick. And And a good space to find is going to be over here. Over here, like where he stops playing, this is going to be a good space. So very quickly, I adjusted the range to be -30. Yes, I want it to get rid of a lot of that sound that's in there, but I don't want it to completely kill everything. It is a DI, so there's not a lot of bleed. And I am going to blend it with everything, so I can kind of play with this and have it be really harsh if I want. I'm going to play with where I want this in the line, if I want it before the distortion or after the distortion. I'm going to play with that. And then, like I said before, I am going to put this in through an impulse response, so it sounds like it's actually coming out of a speaker cab. So right now we're just trying to adjust the gate to clean it all up. Okay, I didn't even turn it on yet, but I want to show you what can happen when you throw this sound into an impulse response. So here it is again before. Let me just fast forward to where he's actually playing. Stop locking to the grid. And then we can... So what we're doing here is actually giving a little bit of presence to this bass. And let's take a listen in the mix and see if everything is right, and then we'll do stuff to the bus itself. So we have FabFilter cleaning some stuff up and adding some presence, getting rid of some boxiness right here in the middle, and adding some low end, which I know counterintuitively because we're cutting it later, but it's feeding into it, and that's what we want. We'll play around with the position of the gate, but now from the EQ, it's going to go into the gates. We're not even using decapitator, so we can get rid of that. From the gates, it is then going into our distortion, red light district, and then that is going to a cab impulse response. Going to do a little bit more compression on this bass because bass actually likes it a lot, but I'm going to try this guy real quick. I don't know if you guys know Joey Sturgis Tones, and Joel Wanasek has a bunch of they're called the Bus Glue plugin series. I have his bass plugin, and I also have the keys plugin. I think he did a really good job with both the bass and the keys. Now, all of them are really good, but the bass one is definitely nice. It has a lot of features. I can tell it where I want the bass in relation to the kick. If I want the kick on top or the kick below the bass, I think I want the kick on top for this one. And then there's a really cool, it's basically a limiter, but you can, it has dual limiters built in, so I can control just the bottom or I can control just the top. Right now I'm going to work with the bottom, and I'm going to switch my speakers over because I want to pay attention to the low end. And you'll saw I reached over for something and I hit a plugin over here. This is just a room correction EQ that I have. This isn't going to you guys at all. So we're going to pay attention to the low end of the bass. So very quickly, Alec, you're right. Bass is stupid. Nobody likes bass players. They kind of don't know how, they don't know how to count past 4 strings, just like drummers don't know how to count past 4. I hear you, man. They really don't. A long time ago, Alec and I used to be in a band together where I was the drummer and couldn't count past 4, and he was the bass player and couldn't play more than 4 strings. And it was, the running gag that still goes on today. Alec actually is a very, very good woodworker these days. His company is called Owlhead Wood Company, based in the same town I'm in, just 5 minutes away. And, he does awesome jobs. So go check out his stuff as well. Going to represent you there, Alec. So let's take a listen to, we're still going to work on the bass. We're going to work on the top end of the bass and really have the presence in there. You know what? The top end wasn't doing it for me, but I'm going to keep this on for the low end control. And that's definitely something that I want. I want to make sure that the low end of my bass is very solid through this mix. You got it, bud. We're also going to do a little side chaining. I have videos out there that talk about side chaining, but what we're going to do is every time the kick hits, I want it to just get the bass out of the way a little. So I'm going to send a trigger from the kick to the bass, and anytime the kick hits, I want it to just duck the bass a little bit. Ideally, I would want this to happen on just the low end of my bass, but I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? Let's check real quick because I can't remember. And let's do multiband dynamics, which does not have sidechain ends. So I'm not going to use this version of multiband dynamics. I'm just going to use the stock compressor. And that's fine by me. I can make this happen. So very quickly and easily, sidechain, I can have it go from my kick bus. And that's exactly what I want. So now I did that and I come over. There's already a send from my kick bus to my bass guitar. And I actually want this, I want this after that limiter because I want the low end to just kind of duck out of the way. So you can see it's just doing a little bit of compression. I'm getting like 5 dB of compression, but it's getting triggered from the kick. And so anytime the kick hits, it's just going to squeeze the bass a little. It's going to do it for the entire bass, but that's okay. I have a slowish attack, which actually I'm going to speed up just a little bit. Actually, this is a fast attack. It's 7 milliseconds. What am I talking about? But I did shorten the release a little. I'm just going to change that to something like that. I don't want adaptive because I want it to be what I am choosing. I want my knee to be kind of hard because I want it to happen when it happens. And I'm not going to worry about look ahead because it's getting triggered. Also, that is fine. And I'm not going to worry about makeup gain or anything like that. Think that's sounding pretty decent. I might do some more EQ later, but I think this is a pretty good spot. Oh, looking over real quick, and it looks like G Tizzle might have checked out Owlhead Wood Company, and yeah, he's got some awesome cutting boards, and he does a bunch of other projects. He's very frequent on Instagram as well, just showing some of the new stuff he's working on, and including some of the like different projects he's doing. Hey, new subscriber, thank you very much. That just popped up. That was cool. All right, so let's move on. Let's do some more stuff. Did you guys hear that real quick? There was somebody trying to sing right there. There it is. Like I said the other day, whenever I see something like this, I like to bring it up because it adds to the feel of the show. So just gonna like event gain that one up. I made my selection real quick. Any reason the bass has 2 DIs? Yes, there is a reason. I duplicated it. I just went ahead and it's just a complete duplicate so that I could do different effects onto this secondary one. So if I solo this one out real quick. That's the DI from the show. I did a full duplicate and added this. Which is a very interesting sound. It's a lot of top end, but I needed some clarity from this bass, and that's why we did everything that we did. And then this last one is just the mic. And so all 3 of these blended together. It's not a great spot to showcase it. So where was that vocal that we were just messing with? Right there. I want you to listen to this one again. So, like I said, it's a live set, it's a hardcore set. Probably dump the mic into the crowd, and I want to bring that up a little bit. So that's why I just went ahead and event gained this one real quick. Something I'm noticing, though, is the vocal's very dry. Ooh, let's get rid of it. So I'm gonna fix that, and what I'm actually gonna do is just put some room reverb on here, and I'm gonna pull open a preset. Let's do large club, should be fine. I did this. I think there's a medium. There is a medium club. So I'm gonna pull open the medium club preset. I'm gonna solo this out. And that's kind of what I want. Yeah, like I was saying, G Tizzle, I'm just doing some stuff to add a little presence to that bass, just to kind of make it sit with those guitars a little bit more. So that's kind of a trick you'll see a lot of guys that do heavy music is they'll split their bass where they control just the low end, and then they add some mid, and they do some distortion, stuff like that. So that's a very common trick you'll see is just duplicating the bass DI and using it and doing all kinds of like parallel processing on it. Ish102, thanks for stumbling across the channel. Thanks for joining us. Mark, oh goodness. If you have a cleaner bass amp signal, do you cross over EQ or phase issues in the high end when processing the DI like that? You can experience some phase issues when you're doing like a crossover like that, or you're splitting your bass out. But I'm not as worried on the top end phase issues, because more so you'll hear phase issues on the low end. So as long as your low end is controlled and you keep your phase in line on the low end, that's that's more important, is keeping the low end phase in check. The top end phase, because I'm doing so much extra stuff on here for this bass, and let's just solo these out real quick and get rid of that vocal. So we can do a quick test for this as well. So that's our bass the way it is. Right here, I have the fast and easy button to switch polarity on that second DI track where we've already cut most of the low end on it. I'm just going to show you real quick. I'm going to pull up in FabFilter and not even use it. It's just going to be like our analyzer. So this is just that secondary bass DI that we did, and we cut a lot of low end. So you can see it's got like nothing below 200. So there's not going to be a lot of low end phase issues going on. And we still have a lot of low end. If we look at this instance of FabFilter, and I just dragged it over, everything below 200 in our bass channel here is coming from another channel. So I'm not too worried about the phase. But let's check the top end phase like Mark was asking. And we'll just flip the phase as we're listening through. I'm going to come back a little more. So there is some phase stuff going on. You can hear it gets real hollow when we invert the polarity. And for my ears, I kind of like it without the polarity inversed. Excuse me. So there is stuff to check, but for me, I always check the phase on the low end, because if I lose all of the low end, especially on like a bass guitar or when I'm adding in samples on a drum, I want to make sure that everything's in phase and that the low end is still there. I'm not as worried about the mids, which can get affected, or I'm definitely not worried so much about the high end. I'm only worried about high end phase if it starts to like really pull everything away and make it sound like super thin. So there's that. Let's go back to our lead vocal. Like I said, it was very dry. This is the one we were working on. And I'm just going to mute this again real quick, so we'll go back into it. So very dry. I don't want much, but I want it to sound a little more lively and a little... I want it to have a little reverb. So I just put a preset of the medium club on. And the only thing I did was I adjusted my mix. So my ears will be blasted. You're a fake ass bitch. So in solo, there's a fair amount of reverb going on. In the whole mix, so my ears will be blasted. Still a fair amount. Let's pull this back a little. So my ears will be blasted. You're a fake ass bitch. That's way better for me. And this is eventually going through the EQ that I have going on, and then into the bus compressor that I have. And it's really helping. I think it's helping that vocal out a lot. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to select these two channels, drag and drop, boom, copied to those two channels instantly. Could I have taken this reverb and put it on the bus? Yes, I certainly could have. And let's do that real quick, actually. We'll take it here. We'll put it at the ends, because now it's going to be after this compressor. So it'll be a little bit more even going into it'll be a little bit more even because it is after the compressor. So let's take a listen to which one we like better. So something I would like to do is geometry room. Nope. Reverb character. Beep, beep, bop, bop. There's not really, unfortunately. And instead of doing this on Ascend, I kind of want to keep things pretty easy. What I was hoping to do is kind of cut some of the low end. I would want like tone shape going into this reverb. And that's kind of something that I can do on the channels itself. So let's listen real quick. It's still on the bus, so let's listen to this reverb, and then we'll switch back over and turn these ones on. kind of like it on the channels a little bit better. I feel like there's too much if I put it on the bus itself. Now, like I was saying, excuse me, let's create a send. We're just going to add a bus. We're going to make a send to this bus. Nope, not bus 6. That's supposed to be bus 1. Whoop. Bus 1. And then we're going to take this reverb and drop it on here and take these ones off. But what I can do is I can throw an EQ in before the reverb. So the reverb itself, oops. Why is that doing that? That's not what I wanted. Here we go. Am I not hitting the right thing? I was trying to do a keyboard shortcut to jump through there. So the reverb is exactly the same, although the mix is now at 100% because it's on a send. And that's something that Studio One will do. But before it, I have an EQ. So what I can do is I can cut a lot of the low end and I can cut some of the top end as well, which is what I'm going to want to do. And I can actually add a little bit more reverb when I do this. I'm going to shift click the S so that it's solo isolated. And it's off on the channels. Let's listen. So there's a lot going on right there. I want to pull that out. I could actually do that by tone shaping going into the reverb with this EQ beforehand. I can narrow that down a little though. So my ears will be blasted. Let's go a longer section. What we can also do, and this will probably be one of the last few things, is this is our room track over here. We can do, there's nothing wrong with doing a little EQ on our room track and kind of brightening it up a little. This is kind of like a tilt EQ-ish.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's what he's talking about, and that's what I'm talking about. So I think that's a pretty good place to end for today. We got a lot done. We went in, we cleaned up those guitars a little. We we went into the bass and showed how you can split a bass, you can throw some effects on, and then blend it in. And what we were doing today was adding some more presence to the bass so that it really kind of stood out in this mix. I'm going to do some more refinement later and really just clean this up because I think this one's pretty close. I'm going to send it off to Sunny and Len and see what they think, and I'll make like a little test mix for them. And if they like it, I'm going to print it, send it off, and then we'll sync it to video, and it'll be released on hate56.com at a later date and time. But we'll find out. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. If there's anybody still watching, which there are, I'm open to answering any questions that you have. While I'm waiting for the questions to come in, thank you for tuning in. This really means a lot. And I hope everybody is staying safe and well during all of this crazy COVID-19 stuff. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing if you're a subscriber. If not, please subscribe on YouTube, youtube.com, and look up Tim Talks Audio. I'm very active on a bunch of Facebook groups. I'm also very active on the Studio One subreddit, as well as a couple other ones. So yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot. I'm going to check later because I'll be honest, I've been working for about an hour. My ears are a little tired. They need a little bit of a break. So I'll listen to this one later and kind of make sure that everything's good before I send it off. I'm curious what you all thought or what are thinking. Curious if you have any questions. Also want to say that probably next week we'll do some more live streams, but we'll concentrate more on using just the Studio One stock plugins. I'm not going to use these hardcore mixes for that. I'm actually going to go onto a bunch of the communities that I'm active in and see if anybody has any tracks that they want mixed, and I'll just use stock plugins to do that. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to bump this. So sorry if the camera's a little shaky. I'm just checking something on the computer, trying to stop it real quick. Mark, question. Would somebody please think of the children? Mark, I thought it was your job to think of my children. I work with Mark. It's pretty funny. It's an inside joke that we have that he takes care of my kids because somebody's got to. So yeah, next week we'll do some more live streams. We'll work with the stock plugins and really go into those. I do have a video coming out on the YouTube channel. It's just like one of my regular videos where I go over the stock plugins. I have a playlist for them of all the stock plugins. I'm making a series of it. So the next one coming out will be multiband dynamics. And then I kind of ask when those ones come out, what do people want to see next? Whether it's, I can go alphabetically if they have a specific one they want me to go over. Some people wanted me to go over just the stock compressor. Some people wanted the stock EQ, the Pro EQ. The few that are already out there were alphabetical, so I did. I forget exactly what they are, but I have Studio One right in front of me. I can just look it up. The ones alphabetically, Ampire, the amp simulator that's built into Studio One. We already did that. We already did analog delay. Those ones are already out on my YouTube. And the next one coming out will be multiband dynamics. I'm going to be working on that one. It'll release on Monday. I have a number of other videos that are going to be coming out. You can't see it right now. And I just released the video. I have a Presonus Quantum 2626 sitting right here, actually. And I'm going to go over how this thing sounds and actually using Pipeline to use outboard effects. I have my my DBX compressor sitting right here. I have everything hooked up. I was doing some tests last night. So that video will come out eventually as well. And I have a few more that I need to work on. So yeah, I think that's all I have for now. I want to say thanks again for tuning in and watching. We'll make these live streams kind of a regular thing while all this COVID-19 stuff is going on. So if you found anything informative, please like and share this video as well as the channel. If you have a question, ask it in a comment and I'll answer it in a future video. For more from me, please visit timflansbaum.com. And thanks again for watching. I'll see you on the next live stream, and I'll see you in the Facebook Presonus group, the Studio One subreddit, and all over social media. So look for me, and thanks for watching.